ISIS and Daesh doesn't represent Islam. The relationship between ISIS and Islam is like the relationship between a marriage and a divorce. There's no relationship.
When we went to the front line and went to areas which were within 5 kilometers of snipers of Daesh, and some areas that had just literally been liberated by the Iraqi army and the volunteer army, we found that Daesh basically destroyed everything. Infrastructure, so bridges were bombed, so people couldn't get from A to B to get to the local shop. So doing basic communities, they destroyed everything. Houses were bullet-ridden.
Yes, they have given several stories and that how they came and how they was doing, and with the young Muslim ladies was raped by them, and they was murdered in front of the mother and brothers. Several children was murdered, and in the presence of the children, their parents was murdered. They told the stories like that.
We met various children who had stories to tell, and they told us that when Daesh came into their village, they saw small children strapped with bombs and told to go back into your house, and then it was remotely detonated, killing all the people in the house.
Then there was an individual who really struck me, who at first didn't want to speak to anyone. And I then said to him, I said, I said, did you see ISIS with your own eyes? And he said, yes, I saw ISIS with my own eyes. He said they had long hair. Big beards, very, very large beards, which were not shaved, were not in the right way. They wore black. They had black banners, and he said they were very, very abusive. They were very angry. They were very hostile to anyone. He then shared a story which was extremely emotional. I said, did you see any atrocities yourself? Witness? He said, I saw one woman. She was in an ambulance. He said somehow or for some reason the woman disagreed to support ISIS. She was taken out of the ambulance. There was some dialogue between her and the fighter, and she was then stabbed with a knife, and her stomach was cut open. She was heavily pregnant, and the fetus was taken out of her stomach. That was killed, and then she was killed. It was extremely upsetting, because unfortunately, with any war, the victims are always women and children and the elderly and the disabled people. When we went to Iraq, we went to a refugee camp, and one of the things that really struck me was the young kids there, that whatever little happiness they had left, they were playing in the dirt, jumping up and down, and using anything to amuse themselves or keep themselves entertained. They weren't complaining about the standard of living, even though you knew when you looked at them that they hadn't had water, food. There was a lot of desperation there.
We met a very, very remarkable woman called Qusay. She's actually now called the Mother of Iraq, and unfortunately she hasn't really been mentioned in the Western media. Her story is an amazing story, because what happened with her was Daesh came into her village, and her husband was killed and her son was killed because they were told, you need to join Daesh. They said, no, we reject you. Shot straight in the head, no questions asked. Having seen this and gone through this personal tragedy, she then helped 50 individuals escape, 50 young people, without asking them what ethnicity they are, what religion they are. It transpired they were Shia, and she was a Sunni lady, and she helped save 58 people. And this is, I think, the overall message, I think the one underlying message in Iraq, that all the people are cohesively fighting together to basically fight back Daesh.
One of the most amazing things that I learned in going to Iraq was my prior ill-informed views was that Iraq was a sectarian war. It was a lot of sectarianism. Sunni Shias hated and killed each other. When I went to Iraq and I went to the front lines and I spoke to Sunni fighters and Sunni people that are fighting alongside Shia fighters against Daesh, I learned that there isn't a sectarian war. It's a media propaganda. It's a propaganda by certain countries for their own agenda. One of the things that we found in the Iraqis was those who were persecuted, humiliated, fought, killed, members of the family have been killed. There was a form, or there was a source of resilience in them. They were very resilient as Iraqi people. I've never seen people so united in the midst of such a tribulation that irrespective of what's happened, we are still resilient against this evil cancer. That they're united, they want to fight.